Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we have a special episode. So you all know I moved from Canon to Olympus, and when I was researching for the Olympus cameras, there were pretty much two choices that I had to make. I had options to choose, and those were the EM1 Mark III and the EM1X. And on paper, in terms of specs, it wasn't a huge difference, and actually the EM1 Mark III was released later than the EM1X. The biggest differences between the cameras is that the EM1X has the built-in grip, so it has two batteries and it has two processors. These are the biggest main differences. Well, the EM1 Mark III is quite a small camera, very compact. In terms of features, they were exactly the same. So my question was, do I really need the EM1X? It was a bit more expensive, and just comparing them, it wasn't a reason why I should pick the EM1X. I moved from Canon 5D, I moved away from big gear, and the EM1X is quite a big camera. So a couple of months after I switched to Olympus, guess what? Yes, Olympus released the bird focused AI on the EM1X, and this is what it makes the difference, the huge difference between these two cameras. But I've always wondered, after this firmware update was released, if I made a mistake by going with the Mark III instead of 1X, and I always wanted to try that bird focus AI. So I had the EM1X and a few lenses through the Olympus Pro Loan scheme. I'll leave a link for you to access it. It's absolutely brilliant. You can request a loan, and Olympus sends you this kit for 2 weeks. That is completely free of charge. All you have to do is use the kit and see if you like it and take care of it. So I've had the EM1X for 2 weeks now. I didn't have the opportunity to go out as much as I actually wanted due to the weather and some other stuff. But there is another huge question that I see online, and that is, should I go with the 300mm f4 prime lens, or should I go with the 40 to 150 f2.8 pro lens and the 2x teleconverter? So what I'll actually do is, I'll take some photos side by side. I'll put the converter on, and I'll take photos side by side so we can actually compare them and see which one is a better combo. Now, there are a few advantages. For example, the 300 f4 Pro, it is a prime lens. It is very sharp, focuses instantly, no aberrations. It's absolutely amazing. And also, if you go with the 40 to 150, you have the zoom option. It has two focusing motors. It's an absolutely brilliant lens. The bokeh on it is amazing. I actually love this lens for portraits. But what I'll do, obviously, when you put the 2x converter on, that's going to be an 80 to 300mm f5.6. So we'll see what the differences are. I'm gonna use my trusted bar now for this. and set it up in the garden. We'll do this comparison for the 40 to 150 and the 300, and then I'll just give you my opinion on the bird focus AI and if I actually made a mistake going with the EM1 Mark III instead of the EM1X. Okay, so what I will do is I'll have the EM1X with the 40 to 150 and the 2x converter. It's on manual mode. We have 1/500th of a second at f5.6 and ISO 200, which is the native ISO, which is the recommended value. And I'll photograph my owl. And then I'll get the EM1 Mark III with a 300mm, which this is my setup. And I'm going to use again ISO 200 at f4 because this is the maximum aperture. And this is going to be at 1/1000th of a second. So now I can go and compare the photos on the computer and zoom in at 100% and see which one is actually sharper. Now, do I really regret not getting the EM1X and getting the EM1 Mark III instead? Well, this is my opinion, so no. The bird focus AI is absolutely brilliant, but it is a hit and miss. I've taken the camera to Marvel Zoo. I know it's not wildlife, but that gave me an opportunity to test cameras side by side on the same subject. So I've noticed that it hunts for that eye focus, and when it gets it, it's brilliant, it's absolutely lovely, but when it misses it, it's so hard to regain focus that in wildlife you probably lost that opportunity. And it kind of gets frustrating at sometimes. The biggest benefit I've seen out of it is when you compose your shot. Once it's acquired focus, no matter how you compose the shot, that dot is going to stay on the eye of the subject, and that allows you to work on composition instead of using the joystick to move the focusing point around. That is brilliant. I love that, but only for that. I still prefer my EM1 Mark III. Another reason, there are only actually two reasons why I don't regret it. So the bird focus AI, no, I like it. I'm not extremely impressed to make me want it. And then the second one is the pure size of the camera. There's a reason why you move from other cameras to Micro Four Thirds, because the smaller system, and you can see that in lenses, which is brilliant. But then EM1X, it's massive compared to EM1 Mark III. I mean, It's absolutely massive. You get loads of battery life, which is true because there's 2 batteries, but I can also get a grip on the Mark III, and that solves the problem. And even with the grip, the Mark III is not as big as the EM1X. So that, honestly, no, I love my Mark III, and no, I won't change to EM1X. I know the EM1X is a flagship camera, but besides the eye focus, there's no feature differences between these 2 cameras. So why would I do it? Another thing I want to talk about is the 2x teleconverter. Now, this is something I really wanted to try, and I really considered purchasing. But paired with my 300 Pro, you get 1200mm. That is absolutely brilliant, but the quality just dives down. It's exactly as you would take a photo of a bird through your unclean window. It's hazy, it's not sharp, and I don't know. That was my experience. Now, it's absolutely lovely for macro photography. You get really close to the subject. It's brilliant. I love it for that. That, if I would get it, that would be the main reason, because it's cheaper to get this than the macro lens. Kind of. But macro is absolutely brilliant. I love it. Now, if you're in deep macro photography, obviously a macro lens is way more beneficial, but for me, that's it. This does what I want, because if I'm out and about with my setup, and then I want to take some macro photos or videos of some flying bees, all I have to do is just pop this in and not have to carry another lens with me. Now, I don't have a 60mm macro lens, but that's my honest opinion. So this is the main reason why I would go for the 2x converter. And long distance shots, I know there are tons of factors that actually working towards a sharp photos or not, depend on the air, the humidity, and all the stuff. But in all the photos I've tried, that was my result. That is what I've noticed, and that is what I've experienced. So for me, for now, it's not a must. I would love one. I will get one at some point, but it's not a must, because even if I have it, it doesn't improve my long distance photography. It only gives me a slightly better macro capability on my 300 Pro, and it's not something that I'm looking for right now. So there you have it. That's my honest opinion. Now, I know there are some of you out there who love the EM1X, which is absolutely fine. It's a brilliant camera. I love it. But compared to the Mark III, it's not that big of a difference for me to make the decision to move from the Mark III to the 1X. It's just, from my point of view, the only thing is I gain weight in my kit, which is something that I don't want at the moment. So there you have it. That's my honest opinion. Thank you for watching, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I usually go out and about to take photos and videos of wildlife in the local nature reserves. I'm working on a few projects right now. I'm quite caught up. I'm working on some video projects at work as well, and I know I haven't posted much lately, but it is what it is. I do what I can. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share it, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.